Oh, I certainly hope so, sir. Very much. Oh, hi, Piggy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Star Wars Weekend's host, a man with the freakish vocal range and 3 first names, James Arnold Taylor.
This has been a fantastic day, a fantastic week 5 of tremendous time of fun and celebration of all things Star Wars here at Disney, and we are so grateful to the folks at Disney for doing this, aren't we? How many people have been here? Were you here last week? The week before? We're going to top it all right now. It is such a privilege, such an honor to welcome our guest for a very, very special conversation. If you were here yesterday, you got kind of part 1 of it. And we're just going to keep going here and ask him some more wonderful questions before we bring out this tremendous actor, performer, writer, director, producer. Let's take a look at him in action on the screen.
Don't be scared.
Teaching Bernice here how to play checkers. Your move, Bernice. Bernice!
Yes, now to our story.
Big time showbiz. Waka, waka, waka.
Work hard, lad.
Take the rocks when you can get them. Hi there, Mr. Honest. Are you by chance in relation to Frank Honest?
No, what? Action.
He's never gone! Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Here, sweetheart. And cut. Check it. Jedi Master Yoda. You seek Yoda. Why would you become Jedi? Use the Force. Give me the size, do you? When 900 years old, you reach for the good Yoda. Or do not. There is no try. You must feel the Force around you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Frank Oz. You're making him uncomfortable there, dude. How are you?
Coming, guys.
Some of you wait a while for this? You see okay? Everybody okay? You good? Are you comfortable? You do whatever you want.
I want to be right here.
Okay, this is where we want you. Frank, I really appreciate the time. All of us at Star Wars Weekends appreciate it. This is a Star Wars exclusive, Star Wars Weekends exclusive. This is amazing that you would sit down with us and talk about your career, your life, and your work. And I hope that you can take some of that in, because you know you're a very humble man, but you deserve all of this.
Well, that's nice.
So, yeah.
It's funny. I know I might come off as humble, but I
I know what I do very well. And I do, and I love what I do, but it's not modesty, it's just honesty. It's just that I don't do it alone.
Yeah.
No one does it alone.
That's right.
I have, for CG, I do the voice. The animators work for like 2 years, 20, 30 of them. So I get the credit. And with the Muppets, I have to work with other performers. So, and I have to create the characters that way. In order to have a full character, you have to work with somebody else. And there's the writers, and there's Jim Henson, and there's George Lucas. So I'm not saying that that I don't do good work, because I have to believe in myself.
Yeah.
But you do not do it alone. There is no such thing as a self-made man.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Very important. So yesterday we touched on quite a bit of your career in the beginnings and growing up with puppetry in your life, but also being somewhat, I don't know if a reluctant puppeteer would be the right way of saying it, but it wasn't necessarily your plan. You said, you weren't a math scholar, so you went to journalism, and that was your plan, was to be a journalist?
Right. I mean, puppeteering was actually a savior. I'm sorry?
We've got some journalist fans, I guess, here.
Journalist! One journalist fan! Unfortunately, that's the way the world's going. But yeah, puppetry was a great way for me to express myself in a safe manner, because as I said last night, as a kid, had very low self-esteem. And I have a feeling that many people here as kids and adults have low self-esteem. And it's a waste of time, guys. It really is. Just accept yourself and you're good enough. Absolutely.
So, with all of that in mind, and then meeting, of course, we covered yesterday, meeting Jim Henson at 17, but then going to work with him in New York at 19, and becoming a part of this amazing ride that we know now as Sesame Street and the Muppets and all these wonderful characters, which we'll touch on in a moment. What motivated you as a kid? So like all of us here, we loved what you did. And that's what is inspired us. What inspired you when you were growing up? Who were the characters, the actors, the performers that inspired you?
I was a television child. I grew up watching television, a lot of television. So from Lucille Ball to Jerry Lewis to Sammy Davis, all that showbiz stuff is what was exciting to me. And actually that's a great deal where Fozzie comes from, that aspect of me, is the showbiz. But I think that's where I got it from, and I can't tell you exactly why I was excited by it, neither can you why you're excited about what you're doing, but it just is. So that's, my background is really television stuff.
That's great. Do you mind taking a couple of questions? We asked some folks here to write down questions, and we've got a few here, and I know that you would like to do that. So, okay, let's see. Rachel from Tampa asks a Star Wars question. Rachel, where are you? Are you here in the
Hey!
There you are, Rachel. Let's hear it from Rachel, huh? You made it, Rachel. You got a question for Frank Oz right here. Rachel from Tampa asks, what was a challenge about working on Star Wars?
Oh, that was a huge challenge. It was a very exciting challenge because, as I said yesterday, it didn't come to me for Yoda. It came to Jim Henson, and Jim is the reason I'm here. I mean, he is the one who gave me all the opportunities and all the support. And Jim said, yeah, right. And Jim, knowing he was the head of a company, didn't have time, and also knew that I had some strengths in certain areas. He suggested me. But the actual, and I saw some designs, and I really felt good about the character. But it was something that had never been done before. It was a very, everything is CG now, not everything, but a great deal. And so seeing characters come alive, it's computer, but when you do it physically, when there's a physical being, and you've got to try and have that physical being transcend what it really is physically, just to make it really live alive. That's a challenge, and I guess that was the biggest challenge, to answer your question. It's just making that small character not only come alive, but just be transcendent and be more than you think what you see.
Yoda
was the
was
biggest one.
certainly more than what we could have ever imagined, I think. And I would say probably the most influential character in the world of Star Wars. I think that most people would agree. I mean, Yoda is the best. He's the Jedi Master. He's the true Jedi Master.
But as I said yesterday, just be aware again. This is again not me being modest at all. Being honest is that if Mark wasn't there and didn't connect with Yoda, you wouldn't believe in Yoda.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a great tribute to Mark Hamill, of course, as we know as Luke Skywalker. And as I told Frank yesterday, I tell you again, he said the same thing about you, being Yoda. And so that's the sign of two very, very, very non-humble men. But, you know, what was really great yesterday was we talked a bit, we were going to backtrack and go back to the Muppets a bit. You broke down the character of Bert for all of us. And you mentioned something afterwards. You said, you know, if we want to talk about these characters,
Sure.
I would love to take you up on that.
Sure.
So we did talk about Bert, but so if I go down a list of some of them, you just kind of give us some insight on these characters that, well, I have to tell you, the next one is the first puppet I ever owned. And, you know, I've told you this here, but you were very influential in my life. I started as a stand-up comic and a performer and dreamed about being a performer my whole life. And the Muppet Show was where I learned about comedy, along with Bugs Bunny and Steve Martin. So the three of you really paved the way for me and my career. And Animal was the first puppet I ever had. So what's the deal with Animal?
Well, you know, when Jim created Dr. Teeth Band, which is Dr. Teeth on keyboards, Floyd on bass, Janice on guitar, and Zoot on sax. Then there's a drummer, and I forgot how it was done, but how Animal came about with me inside was I've always seen Animal as primeval, you know. And he's very dangerous. That's why he needs a chain. He's got to be chained to his drums. You've got to be very careful. And the only person he listens to is like a dog when he listens to Floyd. Floyd's the only one who can take control. But for me, you know, Animal is really, you know, Animal goes out at night, like wandering around the railroad yards. And you do not know where he really went, and you do not want to know where. You just don't want to know where he went. And, you know, he eats glass. And he's really, I love that age. And the thing about Animal is, I have three-dimensional characters, which people always work towards, is having three-dimensional characters, like Piggy, for instance. But Animal, on purpose, is two-dimensional. He's monosyllabic. And if he was three-dimensional, he wouldn't be as dangerous.
Yeah.
You'd understand him more. But because you don't know what he's going to do, and they don't understand him, he's not three-dimensional, he's two-dimensional, and he's not as deep. He's just, you know, okay, Animal to me is, and I may have to say a word here, and it's not appropriate.
Okay.
But Animal always has been 5 words to me, which is drums, food, sex, sleep, and pain.
Okay. We got through it.
That's Animal.
Yeah. Okay. Rock and roll, baby, rock and roll. And there's a little animal in all of us. That's what I love about him. He was just,
Well,
yeah.
every character we do, Jim, Dave Goles, Jerry Nelson, everybody, they're all aspects of us, exaggerated and filtered through our professional abilities.
I know, I've eaten with you. It's fantastic. No, okay. Sam the Eagle.
Sam, I know who Sam is, but Jim Henson and Jerry Jewell created a different Sam. They created a Sam on the program who was a patriot. He's an American, and he is.
Yeah.
But for me, Sam is a lost soul. Sam is in his late 40s, early 50s. His wife flew the coop. His daughter married an owl. He could never get past that. And he was left alone. And he was all alone until he found these weirdos. And once he found these Muppet weirdos, he took it upon himself to be the only one who could be morally right, to lead them the morally right way.
Yeah.
And the truth is, his place there comes from loneliness.
Yeah. He's a reality star nowadays, isn't he? I mean, you could see his own show. Sam could have his own reality show.
I don't know how to answer that.
Okay. You're describing like so many people. That's
I gotta believe it. I gotta know how they feel and everything. You know, usually characters come from an emotion, like, you know, Piggy comes from pain. That's why she's funny. Animal's two-dimensional, but Sam comes from loneliness.
Yeah, but he has all these layers. That's what I mean.
Yeah, he has to for me.
Yeah. Okay. Fozzie Bear.
Well, Fozzie comes from the little kid in me who would watch all the television shows. I would watch, you know, the Jerry Lewis movies, the Abbott and Costello movies. That's where Fozzie comes from for me, and I love those things. And so, and Fozzie, all Fozzie wants to be, he just has one goal in mind. All he wants to be is the funniest bear in the world. That's all. And Fozzie tried comedy in the caves with the other bear. And they'd start sleeping. He didn't know it was hibernation, he just thought it was reflection. And so he went out in the world and he tried to be a comedian. He just couldn't, and he will always try to be funny, but he will never succeed. But he doesn't know that. There's nothing in the world that will stop Fozzie from trying to be funny. And that's endearing to me. You know? And he's very insecure, desperately insecure, and that's why he needs Kermit.
Yeah. And so, did you have like writing meetings, writing Fozzie's jokes? Because they're very particular. Then,
no self-made man. I mean, on the Muppet Show we had 5 writers, great writers. Jerry Juhl's the head writer, and so it wasn't a situation where they would write the jokes, Jim would okay them, and then we have to read them. In the Muppet Show, which was done in London, we'd be on the floor, which is shooting, and then Jerry Juhl would be in the writer's room, but he'd have a direct feed. He'd see on television what we were shooting at that time, and he'd hear us. So a normal process would be one of us or Jim saying, "Hey Jerry, can you hear me? Listen, can you come on down? This joke's not working not quite that well. I don't think, can you help?" And Jerry'd come down, we talked about it, and we tried another one. So it was that kind of a collaboration, you know? But you don't do these things alone. You have writers, absolutely.
Right.
And of course there's Jim. Jim always guided things.
Was there ever times where you would get it and never feel you really got it right, but knew that you could go back in and loop before finished product, or was it always right then?
Never looped.
Yeah.
Never looped Muppet Show.
Really?
Never.
Awesome.
Awesome. And the Muppet movies, I think we occasionally had a loop, but it was only because there was background noise.
Okay.
That's all.
So when you...
Again, looping, because he's a pro and he doesn't care about you.
No, I just want them to come to my show later where I explain what looping is. No, I'm kidding.
Looping really means ADR, which is a short
Oh yeah, that saves it.
Additional dialogue recording. So when one shoots an actor, for instance, if the actor had a cold that day or laryngitis, they still had to shoot. Or if there was a sound of a lawnmower in the background, they still had to shoot. Then they would add ADR, additional dialogue recording. They'd add that recording months later, and it's called a loop because they used to put the film on a loop so he could do it over and over and over again. Is that not boring or what?
And fun to do, isn't it? Okay. All right. Cookie Monster.
Well, Cookie Monster was never. There's one particular bit on Sesame Street where he became Cookie Monster.
Okay.
He really was just kind of a monster that ate anything. Ate ukuleles, chairs, food, anything. So there was one bit that John Stone, I don't know if you know John, but John essentially was the father of Sesame Street. And John was the writer and director. But John or Jeff Moss wrote a piece, I forgot who. And after Cookie or the Monster was on for a few months, this bit came up where he was a contestant on a quiz show, and he won, and he had a choice between a Hawaiian vacation and $10,000 in cash or a cookie. And he took the cookie. And from that point on, he became the Cookie Monster. And Cookie is very sensuous. in the sense that he doesn't think that much. He just grabs, you know.
Yeah.
And the great thing about him is life would be so easy for all of us if only one thing pleased us. And that's all it is. One thing pleases Cookie is a cookie. That's it. It'd be so simple. We're complex beings, not Cookie. He just wants a cookie.
Yeah. Look to the cookie. Yeah. It's one of those. So you mentioned before, I've heard you say that in the first, I think, was it the first 4 years or so, you didn't do voices for
I
them?
was 19, and I came, as I told you, I had so low self-esteem. And I came to New York. Jim asked me to come and try for 6 months. That's when I left City College in Oakland, studying journalism. And one Oakland guy or one journalism guy, I can't really...
That's the
one journalistic Oakland guy.
Yeah.
This is sad, only one. And so he asked me to come and try it for about 6 months. And at that time, it was just Jim Henson, Don Saline, who made the Muppets, and Jerry Jewell, who was writer and entertainer. And Jim needed a fourth person to take over from Jane, his wife, who had also performed with him. And Jane was pregnant again, and so she had to have time with the kids. So he needed another performer. So I came on, and it was just the four of us on 53rd and 2nd in New York City, one flat up, just 2 rooms, 2 small rooms, that's it. And what we did earlier on is commercials. We would, the Troy Dragon, right, which I don't want to talk about because I was in a costume like the guys out there. It was hot. But I would do commercials with Jim, or we would do commercials. But I was so scared to do any voices. Jim did the voices. I did the performing.
Wow.
And it took me a long time, and Jim almost gave up on me.
Really?
And finally, there was an Al Hurt show, and he forced me to do
And
it.
so was it that forcing that you then
It was
kind of got
forcing, and
past it?
finally what I remember, there's an old showbiz adage, and I told that to myself. I was in the dressing room, and I was going to go on, and I looked in the mirror, and I said, okay, if you can't be funny, be loud. And it's an old adage, and that's what I was. And from that point on, it slowly came about, but I was scared to death.
Wow.
It's weird, isn't it?
But that from those
But
small
people,
things.
you know, when I was
happen.
a kid, excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that those great things that happen from those.
Well, when I was a kid, I was in an audience like you, and I looked at these people like me, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, he must be confident and successful. And the truth is, we go through all these struggles, you know, and it takes us struggles to build the character. So we're no different from you guys, you know.
No, we're just very, very fortunate. Lucky
I'm
folks.
blessed.
Yeah.
The
Blessed
planets
family.
lined up for me.
That's it. That's it. But they lined up for us to have you here with us. And see what I keep doing? You see how I just keep putting that back on you? Isn't that nice?
I'm sorry?
I keep putting all this little, just, you know, these little love things on you there. That's it. It's good.
Little love things?
Little love things, yeah. Come on.
Little love things? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. One more. You got it. Yeah, we've got a couple more. How about my personal favorite, Grover?
Well, it's interesting. You know, I love all the characters I do, and as I said yesterday, you have to love the characters. Right? I don't love the characters. You're not going to love the characters. So I have to truly love them. And each of my characters came out a particular way because I knew it at the time. I was kind of working on it. Grover just appeared. I have no idea how he happened. It was a character. It was a puppet we used in a previous special, and he was used on Sesame Street, and he eventually organically became Grover. I don't know why, but his character, you know, Grover's he's cute, but he's wiry. You know?
Oh, those restaurant scenes with him and the bald guy, and this guy's just trying to get his those.
Yeah.
That's the best comedy ever.
That's Jerry Nelson, who passed away sadly. Jerry did the Fat Blue, we call him, at the restaurant, and we've done dozens of those, and it's so much fun. And the Grover, you know, the Grover thing about Grover is he tries so hard. Even the language comes through that way. He doesn't use contractions. He doesn't say doesn't. He says does not, because his character is he wants to be the very best. He wants to try to be the best waiter. He wants to be the best in his, and and be good in everything he does, you know, and that's where the language comes from.
That's crazy. Well, hey, would you mind taking another question? Can we take another question from the audience?
If I said I would mind,
It would be weird. It would be very awkward.
that's what I'm here for.
But we'd all kind of go. Hey, Frank
Of course I'd be happy
Oz.
to.
Okay. Stacy from Atlanta, Georgia. Stacy, where are you? Stacy from Atlanta, Georgia. Are you here?
Hey,
Where is she? Right over there? There she is. She's got her phone going there. Okay. Hey, Stacy. Here's your question for Frank Oz. What is your favorite scene from any Muppet movie that you performed?
wow, I've never gotten that question before. The favorite scene, I've just done so much stuff.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have. Wow. Are there any that stick out? Hey, Stacy, what's your favorite? The ending of the Muppet movie?
The Muppet movie or which one? The first one?
You know, the Muppet movie?
Yeah, that was great. And again, that was, I was just a performer on there. That was Jim Henson and producing it and probably directing it. I guess, you know, I guess it depends on the characters. There was a scene that was very challenging, but it was fun to do. And that's when Piggy in the second Muppet movie, we shot in London with Charles Grodin, she danced with Charles Grodin.
Yes.
Oh, I know, it's even more than that. I think that was kind of fun. But Piggy was when she was in the same movie and she was underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was challenging. That was kind of, what happened was when I was doing Piggy, I would be underwater, I'd have my arm in the air and the water would be above my head.
Did you have a tank on then?
No.
No.
I had a diver with a tube of oxygen. And then I had my feet wrapped around 2 bricks to keep me down. Seriously?
That's a good day.
Seriously.
Okay, Frank. We've got some bricks and a pool.
And so I heard there were speakers underneath the water. This is Jim Henson. Jim did the impossible, okay? It's not me, it's Jim. Jim just, you want an underwater scene? Sure. So when I heard action from the underground speakers, in the pool speakers, and the music started, which I could hear the speakers, I took a deep breath, I spit out the tube, and I performed the take, and when he said cut, then the guy came with the tube and gave me more oxygen.
That's like a little treat.
Yeah, like a dog, just give me some
If
oxygen.
you didn't do it right, he would say, no, hold on.
You know what was terrible though, is I was in that pool, it was the summer, it was winter, and the pool was very hot inside the TV studio, the movie studio, and it was very humid. And as soon as I went home, it was snowing outside. But inside, I was there for 2 weeks under the water. And I got an earache.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to the doctor, and he pulled something out of my ear. I'm telling you, it was creepy.
You could have made a character out of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's my favorite, but these are my most challenging. I guess it's more challenging, and the challenging ones are always my favorite.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic. Okay, well, we would be completely remiss, and that was fantastic. We're mainly applauding your pain and the thing from your ear, but I'd be remiss if I did not mention who you've been talking about, Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy. Yeah, Piggy is interesting. She's more developed of all my characters. She is later.
Yeah.
She was just, again, like Grover. She was kind of a nondescript puppet we used in a special before. And she, with other pigs, puppets came on the set. And Pigs in Space was written because we had these pigs. And again, I'm here getting the credit, but it's Jerry Jewell who wrote it, and other writers, and Jim Henson, all that stuff. But Piggy came about once. There was a chorus. Actually, Richard Hunt, who did Scooter and others, he was brilliant. He passed away. He had Piggy first, and it was about, I don't know, two episodes in, and there was a rehearsal where Piggy was supposed to slap Kermit. And for some unknown reason, I don't know why, I karate chopped him. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And so that all of a sudden became Piggy for me, because the duality. And I asked Richie, is it okay if I take over? He said, sure. And you know, she is very she's very feminine on the outside, but she's a truck driver inside. You know that she has a little curly Q Miss Piggy autograph, which took her weeks to practice to do. But she is you know, I have a backstory on character. Piggy's backstory is she's well, first of all, she's highly ambitious, and she would do anything to become a star.
Absolutely.
But more than that, she wants her frog, because the frog is her one magnificent obsession. I don't know. I can go on and on. I don't really know.
It's so strange.
Anyways, there's a whole backstory about Piggy I can tell you too.
Well, you know, for sake of time, we really must get to one other character that we're forgetting, and that is Yoda. We see. So you mentioned that, you know, Jim Henson originally was approached about Yoda, and then it comes to you, Lawrence Kasdan, George Lucas. They present to you this character and this backwards talk and all that, and then you're able to take this character and turn him into something. But how do you perceive Yoda now? Even now, looking back at him, who is Yoda to you?
He's he's somebody who feels a tremendous responsibility.
Okay.
He has a tremendous responsibility to the Force, to the Jedi, to the Muppet, to the not the Muppet, to the language, because the language he speaks now, in my opinion, is the language the Jedi spoke 600-700 years ago. He's trying to keep that language alive, while these other guys are just kind of talking colloquially. So he feels the responsibility to keep that language alive because he's the last one. He feels the responsibility to make sure that Jedi training is at the quality it's always been and not lax. He's make sure that the Force is remembered and felt in a way that it's always meant to be felt. Because, you know, when you're only as young as Luke is, you don't really understand the background of the Force, the depth of it. And he's the only one who really knows that. So he feels a tremendous responsibility. And he on the other hand has to be a bit human or have human qualities. So I think I said this yesterday, I love opposites. So he also is flawed. I mean, I love characters who are powerful and they're petty. And I love petty people who all of a sudden pony up and become powerful and courageous. So Yoda is very powerful, but as I said yesterday, this is how I imagine him. If he sees a candy dish and there's a last candy there, he wants that candy. He's petty that way. You know, I mean, he has the responsibility of everybody, but he wants that candy. And it just gives a little bit of humanity to him, you know.
And on that note, we'll do another one here. Another question from the audience. Lauren from Orlando, Florida. Lauren, where are you? Right here, right in the front. Hi, Lauren.
Where's Lauren?
Right here.
Hey, you!
Here's the question. What is the biggest Yoda blooper, or something that really made you laugh on set? Something that really happened there that was fun and funny here?
You know, it's funny, when I do the Muppets, I'm performing. It's a whole different thing. My intent is to get a laugh, whether the audience is there or not. I have an internal clock, internal timing that I'm hoping to get a laugh. Yoda, it's not that way. Yoda, I work and I trust the script. I'm more of an actor there. So I really don't break up when I do Yoda. The only time I said this yesterday, I cracked up, is when Kirsch was directing, and forgive me for those who were here yesterday, but it's the only time I can remember I cracked up with Yoda, was when Kirsch was directing Yoda. Irvin Kershner, who directed Empire Strikes Back, he passed away. The set of Dagobah was built up about 5 feet. And that is because, in part, to have the water for the spaceship, but in great part because I had to be underneath. And I was underneath, and I could I couldn't hear very well, you know, and I had a monitor, and I heard Kirsch giving directions, and I realized he was giving directions to Yoda. And I cracked up, because I shouted, Kirsch, you gotta talk to me.
But that's
the only one I can remember.
Yeah, that's what makes him so real. That's what makes him so beloved to all of us, because he was even that real to Kirsch. That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's wonderful. That's what one hopes for when one does a character, to have the person. I have to believe in him, and I'm hoping that as a result of that, and from what I'm able to do, that other people believe in him. That's the joy, you know.
So, is there anything within your career that you've never got to do that you would like to do at this point, or do you really feel like, gosh, I've had so many wonderful, I mean, it's like the life of Riley here, really. I mean, you know, because it's just a blessed life. You get to do these things.
Well, as a puppeteer, I've pretty much done most things. I always love to try new characters, and that's a different thing. I mean, if I was given an opportunity to do new characters, that's a blast.
Yeah,
that's great. So I love to always do new characters, but I haven't puppeteered for about 8-9 years.
Yeah.
As a director, I love to do more things, but I guess it's more as a director. I love to do more theater.
Yeah, more theater.
More theater.
Stage work, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I am just thrilled to have had this conversation with Mr.